What in the world is happening here? Get that off the intro screen. Good evening to you guys. I'm George Herbert, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now, Kentucky. We do have a storm threat to talk about for your Tuesday, aka tomorrow, for a good chunk of Kentucky, in my opinion. So we'll talk to you about the model data, the current risk out by the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center. We'll talk to you about the timing, where we expect those certain risks to really arise. I'm going to show you some of the AI weather data as well, where it feels the best risk is for things. So we got a good chunk to talk about here. Yes, we have I know we use this term a lot, right? But we have an absolute roller coaster of a pattern unfolding in Kentucky. I think we're going to see storms here, maybe another storm threat in a few days. I'm sorry, by the way, if I'm talking low, we're going to turn me up. I have probably about 10% of energy right now. So I'm going to try my best to get through this here with you, but don't be mad at me if it's a bit of a struggle here. We're gonna get through it. But anyway, we have this storm threat here. We have a storm threat, I think, in a few days or so, probably 4 or 5 days closer to that. And then we have another storm threat toward Thanksgiving. Maybe not severe weather, but a lot of rain. And then we turn really cold for early December, late November standards. Now, for some of you, you're going to think it's not going to be very cold, but for late November, early December standards, it's going to be quite chilly. But anyway, in this broadcast, we're going to focus on the severe threat that we have for tomorrow. Yes, it does cover a good chunk of Kentucky, and yes, I think it's a pretty respectable threat. I don't think it's a major event, but I think it's the most respectable threat that we've had in probably a few months here. And of course, I'll break all that down for you. Talk about the forecast, talk about the model data, talk about timing. Basically, you'll leave this video knowing exactly what should happen. Now, of course, we always know it's 50-50. Apparently, I get paid to be right 50% of the time. So I go with 50-50. But thank you for all the get well wishes. I'm seeing all of them, by the way. Make sure you say hello as you come into the broadcast. If you haven't already, please tap that share button. I'm going to give it probably 30 more seconds before we start on things. So if you have just now hopped in here, you have not missed anything. Share the broadcast for me. Help us get this news out to your friends and family on your news feed there. Help them get updated and learn what to expect for tomorrow. Again, the storm threat is for tomorrow. I know it's kind of a late notice here because quite honestly with you guys, where's my Kleenex at? My nose is running like crazy. Quite honestly with you guys, it's this one kind of came out of nowhere. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been watching some sort of rain signal for tomorrow for a couple of days, but as far as severe weather, it's really just now over the last 12 hours or so really started to increase on the severe scale, if you will. Even the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center didn't even have a risk out for Kentucky until a few hours ago. So this one's rapidly developing. So if you think you know what's going to happen, I promise you, you don't, because this is just now unfolding here. All right. So what I want to do now, while we're allowing folks to get in here, is I want to pull up our main screen here and show you our alert day graphic that I just got done making here. Let me read a few of your comments. Hope you feel better. Thank you, Monica. Thank you for your well wishes as well. Thank you, April. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Lisa. It says my 8-year-old son always comes up running when he hears you, George. I appreciate that. Thank you a ton. I'm going to close out my chat and reopen it because I think it's having some problems here. Oh, I just cut off. Well, okay. There we go. Now some of the messages are coming through. I appreciate everyone on YouTube. By the way, we're live on YouTube and Facebook tonight. Okay, let's hop in here and get on into this because we got a lot to talk about here. Hang on one. By the way, body armor, dragon fruit. You guys know what's going on. I can't do Pedialyte very much. I do it whenever I absolutely have to, but I just don't like Pedialyte at all. So body armor it is. Okay. So we do have a level 2 out of 5 risk, or a level 2 out of 5 alert day, I should say, from us. A level 1 out of 5 risk for the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center. Now, their maps and their forecast will update at around 1 a.m. tonight, I believe. And so we'll get you that update when it comes out. I do anticipate that there will be a portion of Kentucky in a 2 out of 5 risk. I think I would be a little bit shocked if there isn't someone in a 2 out of 5 risk, and I'll show you where I think that's going to be. But here's the overall alert day graphic. Level 2 out of 5 or level 2 out of 5 alert day for us, which is not extremely high, but it's a little bit higher than what we've had out. Confidence meters at about a 3, and I'll explain to you why it's not higher or lower here in just a moment as well. Timing is going to be 5 to 9 p.m. west to east. Now, we will have storms outside of that time frame, but we will have, that's kind of where the alert window is for us, or the severe window, if you will. Okay, so that's the overall alert day graphic. Here is the actual SPC's storm risk here. Let me turn the Let me turn the font up here so you can actually see the cities a little bit better. I had to turn it down for our graphic there. Let's turn it to like 75. Give it a second. Okay. So level 1 out of 5 risk does exist for pretty much, I mean, everywhere from the I-75 corridor to points west. A little bit surprised I didn't just go ahead and throw all west, like far western Kentucky in there. You're kind of splitting hairs at that point, but I agree with it. But that's kind of where we're at for now. Oh, thank you for the 20 stars. I missed that. Oh, Teresa, thank you for your 20 stars. I appreciate that. I haven't gotten stars in a while. Thank you. I appreciate you. Um, level 1 out of 5 risk. And again, I do think that there are going to be areas that are going to be upgraded to a 2 out of 5 or slight risk, or the yellow color that you see sometimes. I'll explain to you where I think that's at after we look at the model data here. I want to go through the actual risk right now, though. There is a 2 to 4% tornado risk in green. Again, it basically covers the same areas there, from Bloomfield, Danville, Somerset, Monticello, over toward Paducah, Benton, Oak Grove, and Morganfield, and pretty much everyone in between there. I do think the greatest tornado risk, and again, I'll break this down on the model data. I think the greatest tornado risk is going to be from, like, let's say Madisonville to Paducah, Princeton, Benton, basically the same areas that always get the greatest tornado risk. This is nothing new, okay? As far as wind here, the greatest wind risk is going to be on the eastern side of the risk zone, which I do agree with on that. And again, I'll explain to you. I think this is going to be a really weird one, guys. I'm going to be flat out honest with you. This is going to be a really weird one because usually the risks are the same no matter where you're at, and they kind of just fall down in line. I think where you're at, depending upon in the storm mode here, the risk is going to be different. For example, portions of this risk. So let me go back to the categorical risk. First, here's the hail risk, by the way, pretty much the same thing. Okay, cool. Here's the categorical risk. Now, this is going to be quite interesting because they do have the tornado risk pretty much everywhere in that risk zone. But I think that, and again, I'm going to show you this on model data as well. I know I'm kind of hopping back and forth here, but I'm going to show you this model data as well as to why this is happening. Okay. I think the greatest tornado risk is probably going to be here. Now, that does not mean that you can't get tornadoes to happen everywhere else in the zone. But and again, I'm going to break down why this is happening because this is quite a weird one here. Okay, and let me change colors here. It's like blue or something. And the greatest wind and hail risk is going to be like here, in my opinion. Whereas the tornado risk is going to be lower in the blue zone. And again, I'm going to break this down. I know this is kind of a lot to throw at you right now. By the way, if you're just now hopping in here, I'm George Herbert, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. We do have a storm threat, which we're currently breaking down. You have not missed too much here for your Tuesday, aka tomorrow. So again, that's kind of where we're at there. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the, what I want to show you next. Let's go with the AI data. Okay. And what we're going to put up now here is the greatest tornado risk. Okay. And now this is coming from the AI. This is not 100% perfect. By the way, if you don't like AI, don't yell at me. Okay. I don't like it either, but it's not going anywhere. We might as well learn and adapt to it. Okay. All right. I always like to put that out there because there's always 2 or 3 people telling me, why are you using AI? It's so bad. Yeah. Flying planes is bad too, but here we are. Okay. Okay, so here is the AI model data from MMFS, and this it does pretty well. I wouldn't say it's perfect yet. I don't think any AI in weather world is going to be perfect for a long time, but it's going to get there. Okay, so here is the tornado risk for Tuesday, and you might be able to see the little clock up there all the way at the top portion of the screen. All right, and if it's well, looks like it froze. Let's refresh that real quickly. I've had this browser open for a while, so I wouldn't be. No, the model's actually freezing, not me. Let's try to click over to the wind risk. Well, the wind risk is working. Okay, here is the wind risk for Tuesday. You can see kind of where it highlights there. And I think this is probably going to be your greatest risk for severe weather overall. And that's going to be north central, northwest Kentucky, basically from Evansville, Newburgh, Indiana, over toward, let's say, Louisville, Elizabethtown, Bardstown, Shepherdsville, and including everywhere in between, like Owensboro. Here, I can kind of zoom in a little bit. What am I doing? Owensboro, Radcliffe, basically the northwestern corner of the state toward the Ohio River. I'm going to show you the model data as well. I think that's going to be where the greatest threat is. Oh, Lisa, thank you for your 145 stars. Sheila, thank you for your 20 stars. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much over there on Facebook. That's basically your wind risk there. As far as hail, I don't think it's that great for tomorrow. Even though some of these storms will be elevated, I think it's missing some sort of aspect of the hail threat. But you can see it kind of lights up a little bit over there toward, like, let's say, up into the southwestern Indiana portion of the area. By the time it actually gets toward Kentucky, it's not really all that great. It's about 15%. So it's really not all that great. And it pretty much dies down after it gets through north central Kentucky. I'm in Pleasant View, Tennessee. I don't cover Tennessee, unfortunately, my friend. Let's see if we can get the tornado risk to work. Okay, it's working now. Oh, Bluegrass Acres, thank you for your $10 donation. I appreciate that. Over on YouTube says, have a fish sandwich delivered to you. Great work, my friend. Thank you very much. By the way, if I'm sounding very breathy tonight, I'm sorry. If you guys didn't see the post earlier, I do have COVID, and it's not been easy. It's not been easy. Our whole family has it pretty much. Um, so I'm trying to muscle through it. So if I'm talking fast or sounding real breathy, turn the closed captions on. That's all I can tell you because we're just trying to power through this thing. Okay, here is the tornado risk for tomorrow, according to the AI data here. You can see it kind of really lights up around Evansville, Indiana, Henderson, Kentucky, Newburgh, Indiana, just north of Owensboro around 6 to 7 p.m., basically 5 to 8 p.m. ish. And then it really kind of balloons all the way in that same portion as the wind look area. So Radcliffe, Elizabethtown, Owensboro, Henderson, Brandenburg, Hardinsburg, Fordsville, up there in the northwestern portion of the state, getting toward Litchfield, getting toward Madisonville. I think this AI model has the tornado threat a little bit too far north, in my opinion. I think it's more into Madisonville, Morganfield, Evansville, Paducah, Benton, Princeton. But nonetheless, this is where the AI model data has the tornado threat for tomorrow from 7 to 9 p.m., basically. And again, it stretches along I-65 corridor there, Louisville, stretching back out to the west along the I-69 corridor there. And then as I advance this forward later into the night, you'll see it does drop that a little bit more south into, like, let's say central and south central Kentucky. And then it really kind of fizzles out after about 9 to 10 p.m. All right. That's the tornado threat from the AI model data. Okay. Again, don't take that 100% verbatim. And even that's not that great of a risk. What is that green? It's about, it says 35%, but you take like the last, you move a digit over. It's more like 3.5%. Okay. I know that's kind of like doing math. I know we don't want to do it, but that's kind of where we're at with it. All right. I'm gonna turn my heater down now. I'm getting hot. The worst thing about having COVID or any type of illness like that, respiratory illness, bro, my temperature changes. I hate it. Okay. So that is the risk from the AI data. Again, about a 3.5% risk, mainly in the north central, northwestern portions of the state. All right. Now, what I want to show you is the model data. But before we do that, of course, I got to give you a few messages from our sponsors. So I'm going to show you the model data when we come back from that little, I think it's like a 2-minute break, guys. So it's not long. Okay. But of course, they are the reason we can be here for you guys 24/7. So I hope you guys consider supporting them. When we get back, I'm going to show you the model data as well as answers us quite a bit of your questions. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A for the end of the broadcast. So don't go anywhere. It takes like 2 minutes. Okay. Hey, Kentucky and Indiana farmers, storms are coming, but Right Implements got you covered. From John Deere tractors that plow through the rainstorms to steel blowers that clear the mess, they've got the gear to keep you working when the weather won't. Swing by one of their 15 locations or hit rightimp.com. That's rightimp.com. Right Implement, built for the forecast, ready for the field. Are you traveling through Brandenburg or live nearby? Give your pet the royal treatment at Creature Comfort Inn. Family owned and operated since 1997 with clean kennels, daily playtime, and love like home. Their pickup and drop off hours can fit nearly any schedule. And for your first day, if you mention W&K, you get to save 10% off. Creature Comfort Inn, where tails never stop wagging. Call 270-422-1020 or visit creaturecomfortin.com. We all know Kentucky winds are howling, storms are rolling in. Don't let Mother Nature tear down your dreams. At FBI Buildings, they've created tough post-frame pole barns, equestrian arenas, and custom storage since 1989 to withstand it all. From Hosville to your backyard, their designs keep you safe and operational, rain or shine. Ready to build strong? Call 270-927-8441 or visit FBIbuildings.com for a free quote. FBI Buildings, engineered for Kentucky tough. Hardin County, when the hell's pounding and winds are raging, your roof doesn't have to take the hit. Hyper Roofing in Elizabethtown is your storm damage pros. They offer fast repairs, full replacements, and new installs with top tier materials. They back it all with industry leading warranties on Owens Corning and GAF systems, plus transparent pricing and free inspections. Don't wait for leaks. Call 270-370-1340 or visit hyperroofing.com today. Hyper Roofing, overbuilt for Kentucky weather. Once Upon a Child values your time and your budget, which is why they're bringing you the best deals on top name brands for kids' clothes, shoes, toys, and baby gear. Whether you're looking to upgrade your kiddo's closet or expand the playroom, Once Upon a Child's got you covered with a huge selection of like new kids stuff. And the best part, It's all priced up to 70% less than retail prices. Save big on kids' clothes, shoes, toys, and gear. Get more for less at Once Upon a Child today in E-Town or on Outer Loop in Louisville. Attention thrift lovers. Sweater weather is upon us. Is your wardrobe ready for fall and winter? Don't stress. Plato's Closet Elizabethtown has all the styles you want from the brands you love. Want more good news? Their affordable prices mean you can get more looks for less. So what are you waiting for? Green and I love this place. Go save money on all the hottest fall and winter looks at Plato's Closet Elizabethtown. Thank you. See, it wasn't that bad. And now you guys can know where to support because they support us. Thank you again to all of our sponsors. I appreciate that. Again, without those guys, we can't be here for 24/7. So I really do hope you guys consider supporting them in any way that you can. Okay. By the way, while we were doing that ad break, someone sent a $10 donation on YouTube, and I am going to butcher this name. Shraka? No, I just absolutely just murdered that name. I'm so sorry. Just appreciate you going the extra mile when you're not feeling well. I appreciate that. Again, I know you guys would do it for. I know you guys support me all the time. I got to be here for you guys no matter what. All right. Why is the camera not moving? Let's refresh that. Okay, here we go. Here is the model data for tomorrow. Again, if you're just not hopping back in here, I saw a lot of new faces coming in. We are talking about a severe threat for tomorrow. All right, I'm going to time this out for you from the HRR model. News model runs coming in. I'll look at that after we get done. All right. So here is the overnight, late, or I guess late tonight here. Not really a whole lot out there. By the way, there may be 2 waves of storms. Okay, the first wave likely isn't going to be very much. It's the second wave that we're going to be looking at. Okay. So here is 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. or so. Got some light showers ongoing, basically for your morning commute out there in central and northwestern Kentucky. Okay, so maybe 3 waves. Maybe if you want to count those, it's as 2 different waves there. All right. Here is maybe wave number 2, if you will, from around 10 a.m. or so, drop in from the northwestern side of the state and then sweep through portions of the state. Okay, and that kind of exits out of the area by about 1 to 2-ish, if you will. Maybe some scattered rain on the backside here. Sometimes the HRR model likes to put too much rain on there, so I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen or not. But that second wave shouldn't really be a whole lot. Maybe a couple of stronger thunderstorms on the leading edge of this line here, but I don't really expect any type of severe weather with this line. It's this afternoon to evening line that we're talking about. You can see the difference there already, right? It's this afternoon to evening line. Okay, so before we time this out, I want to put out there that there is a couple of scenarios. We're still teaching them to read. Thanks, Mike. Also, thank you, Mike, for being here tonight. And Kevin, by the way, as well. So there are a couple of scenarios where we can avoid. I don't think this is a major event at all, but this is a respectable event that I think will likely produce a few severe warnings, maybe even a tornado warning or 2. And the way that we can avoid that is a couple of different ways. Way number 1 is if this final wave here around the evening time comes in too fast. Basically, it's too close to this wave here back toward 2 to 4 p.m., right? If it's too close to that, right? See how we have currently like a nice, probably 200-mile gap there? That's enough time for our environment to destabilize and support a severe threat on this backside line, okay? But if they come in too close together, like that second line either comes in later or this final line comes in earlier, right? Then you're talking about an environment that's probably a little bit too worked over to support. I'll talk about rain totals here in a second. We're getting through the time frame and everything. We're getting through our schedule here. If they come in too close together, the environment's going to be worked over, right? It's going to be not really supportive of severe weather. Scenario number 2 is that this line is going to need sunshine. It's going to need some sort of sun, some sort of heat, some sort of moisture to work with. So if this line comes in too late, like let's say it doesn't really develop in Indiana until 8 to 9 p.m., gets to Kentucky around 9 to 10 p.m., then you're not really looking at that much of a threat because this storm needs to come. This line right here, this line that we're talking about, our main line, needs to come in between 5 to 9 p.m. if it wants to produce anything. If it comes in before or after that, then you're talking about not really a whole lot to really be concerned with, right? So that's kind of a couple of scenarios that can play out here. And I'll break that down here a little bit more. Let me get through this timing here for you, okay? So that's 8 p.m. This is 9 p.m. or so. And you can see there's quite the difference in the line there. It's really, really strong, really, getting severe around the north central, northwestern portion of the state. Now, I will say on this model run of the HRR model, it's a little bit more east than what we saw on previous runs. I want to see if that trend continues before we shift the forecast over. These can bounce back and forth quite often. So I don't want to look at one model run and say, hey, this threat has shifted east. We're not talking about Western Kentucky anymore, right? So give it a couple of runs to figure itself out here, because again, this is kind of coming last minute here. So the models are trying to figure this out a little bit as well. But advancing this forward around 9 to 10 p.m., you can see what happens, right? Right, exactly what I talked about. Look at how the line went down. So this is back at 7 to 8 p.m. Look at it. It looks a lot more volatile, looks a lot more aggressive. Looks like it's potentially severe and rotating, right? Now we're talking about 9 to 10 p.m., and you'll see that that line is quickly diminished. So again, you're talking about a 5 to 9 p.m. time frame where the storms are going to be at their peak. So if storms are coming in or performing outside of that time frame, you're not looking at that massive of a threat. That's why our time frame for tomorrow on our alert day graphic here is 5 to 9 p.m. Even though storms may be going on outside of that time frame, that's the window where storms can really get aggressive. Anything outside of that, I'm not as concerned with, genuinely. Okay. So I want to bring this out to the regional view and kind of show you why I'm not as concerned with it. Okay. So here is what we call surface-based CAPE. You guys have heard me talk about this a whole lot. Now, the last couple of storm systems that we have had in Kentucky has lacked the surface-based CAPE department. Basically, CAPE is the fuel for the storm to go. It's like if you put gas into your car, right? The car will be allowed to go. But if you don't put gas into the car won't start. The same thing when you're talking about storms here. They absolutely need to have CAPE or energy for the storm to go. And those last couple of storm systems that we've had pushed through the state over the last month and a half or so, while they've been windy and they've been loud, they've lacked the CAPE. So they haven't really been able to achieve anything really concerning, right? I think we could all agree on that. This storm system does have a little bit of CAPE involved with it, but it's displaced. It's more on the western side of the state. And this is where I talked to you about 5 to 7 minutes ago, right? This is what I talked to you about 5 to 7 minutes ago about how I think different portions of the state are going to have different threats, because the better energy for fuel for storms, if you will, is going to be in the western side of the state. But the storms are actually going to be a little bit more east of the better. It's very complex. Okay. This is not an easy one. Again, anyone asking about locations, guys, we'll get to those in the end of the broadcast. Just go through the information here with us, and your question is likely going to be answered throughout, as we go through the information here. Right. So that's surface-based CAPE, right? So wind shear looks a lot like this. Let me show you the wind shear that we have here. Okay, which is another part of the triangle for storms for ingredients that storms need. You'll see there's plenty there. There's no question about the wind energy at all, right? And even when we come over here and look at helicity, which is another metric that the storm needs to really go. Again, absolutely no question. It's a loaded on that front. The question always becomes in wintertime. So fall and wintertime. Does the storm have enough fuel? Does it have enough moisture? In the springtime and summertime, the question becomes, does it have enough wind shear? Does it have enough helicity with it? So again, different seasons promote different types of storms. It's going to be really close. I'll say that it's going to be really, really close. Some of the models, like for example, some of our better technical severe models, like the HRW or HRW WRF in SSL, the ridiculously long name, right? It does show some better CAPE involved with this. Actually, was it that one or is it this one? Maybe I was lying to you. Obviously. Oh, I know what I did. It's NWSL. Okay. See how it does have some better CAPE with it, but again, it's more associated to the west. So again, a little bit displaced there. So the reason I'm explaining all this to you is that there is some potential that these storms aren't as bad as they can be, okay? Because again, they're lacking some ingredients. But overall, I'm gonna come back in here to the local view, and I want to show you, go back to our 18Z run, right? We will advance this forward. And now I want to show you the updraft helicity tracks. And basically, this is showing us where storms may have a little bit of rotation with them. And again, rotation does not always equal tornadoes. It can equal any type of real severe weather, right? Damaging winds, hail, tornadoes, straight line winds, so on and so forth. But it does display to you where the stronger or severe potential really is. So according to the HRRR model, the stronger or severe potential is going to be basically in the heart of Kentucky toward Elizabethtown, basically all of Horton County, going up toward Meade and Breckinridge counties, and then stretching out into southwestern Indiana, right? So now when I go to the other models and just kind of show you, the DAM3K model, similar-ish, not as aggressive with it, more toward Louisville, stretching back out toward the Ohio River. The RFSA model is more into western Kentucky and is a bit more aggressive with it. So again, even though we're only what 26 hours out from the starting, you can see there's quite the disparity there on where exactly they think these models, being they think is going to where the storms are going to track. Basically, sorry, I'm my brain is so clogged by all the cold medicine I've been taking. It's not even funny. I also want to show you this as well because I think this is something that it kind of plays into it as well. Here are the temperatures for tomorrow. Look at the different temperature gradient, right? So again, you have 49 up here in Lexington. Paducah is all the way up at 68. So if you're in different portions of the state tomorrow, you're going to be seeing different types of temperatures that are going to kind of lead you to believe nothing's going to happen. But if you look at what happens as that storm line gets going, you see a little bit of a warm surge right here at the surface. Even though cold air is pushing into the northern portion, look at so for example, look at Bloomington over the afternoon, right? Kind of scroll through here, you'll see it dropped. But look at, for example, Elizabethtown during the same time frame, temperature goes up. So you're looking at a boundary here. So the boundary is very important as well, where that exactly sets up. Again, this is a very, very, very kind of complex event here because it's all going to come down to a couple of hours, right? We only have a small window here for storms to really be able to thrive. So that's why I'm kind of explaining all this to you. Here's the lightning flash density. I know a lot of you like to see this as well. Basically, shows you where lightning is tracking along with the storms there. The lightning strikes early in the morning out there in western Kentucky. And then we get to our backline here, and you can see this is kind of where the ARRR model expects things to be severe, which is, again, Louisville, Bardstown, maybe over toward Lexington, Elizabethtown, Radcliffe, really hammered there with the lightning going out toward Breckenridge and Meade counties. Again, that's where the ARRR model really feels like it's going to happen. And then after we get past about 10 p.m., you'll see the lightning really dies down. So again, it's really 5 to 9 p.m. If you get a storm within that time frame, it's likely to be strong to severe. So again, 5 to 9 p.m. Unfortunately, that is like the evening and afternoon commute. Here's the total rain for those people asking about that for tomorrow. It's not a crap ton here. I'm not looking at a flash flood event really. You're looking at in some of the harder hit areas, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Again, not an overall real big event there. I'll show you some more of that here in just a second. I want to talk about a little bit of the long range for a moment here because I know there's been a lot of talk about that. And again, our pattern is really waking up. So I'm going to show you the total rainfall over the course of the next 14 days here. And you'll see it really, really, really kind of really gets going here in Kentucky. You're talking about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall according to the European model. Over that same time frame for the GFS model, let's see what it's looking like for rainfall totals. Let it load for a second. I don't know why my computer's going slow tonight. You see it's showing 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. So it may have backed off a little bit. Here is the AI European model, which I have found this to actually be pretty good, especially for rainfall totals and such. And it is showing a solid 2 to 4 inches and a massive, what is that? Did you all see that right there at the end? Now, again, the end of the model, you're talking about 300 plus hours out. So it's really inaccurate, but it's trying to show a big event. What is that right there at the end? Hang on. Oh, that's the Arctic boundary you're going to start hearing a whole lot about. By the way, here is that Arctic boundary. If you were curious about it, yes, we are going to really cool down here in Kentucky. Come on, computer, what is going on here? Advances forward, warmer than average up until probably close to Thanksgiving. So you see all those red and oranges there. That's warmer than average. And then looks what here's Thanksgiving. Look what happens. It's just like someone left their freezer open, and I mean we are just cold. I mean you're talking about. Let's click on the sounding and see here. That's 28 degrees as a high. Now, again, this is likely a little bit inaccurate. You're talking about November 29th here. But that's 28 degrees if you look down here at the red line as a high for November 29th. Again, likely a little bit inaccurate, but again, it's showing some really cool stuff. What is the low for that day? I'm kind of curious. Let's see here. Okay, 26. So it's really not going anywhere. And then, of course, we warm up a little bit again. And then you have kind of a boundary chart to set up here. And this is kind of concerning to me because we're either going to end up with a bunch of snow in the early part of December, or we're going to end up with a severe weather threat and probably a notable one in the early portions of December, just based off of what I'm looking at here right now and what I've been kind of looking at over the last few days. So things are really, 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 really getting active. If you are just now hopping in here again, I want to kind of show you the latest model data coming in here. It's probably not going to see it entirely fully. Go zoom in on the local view, actually, not the regional view. And here is the newest model run coming in right now. Again, it does show those rain showers from, let's say, 3 to 7 a.m., and then a bit of a break, and then more rain showers, but less rain, maybe a little bit of severe weather in there. But see, here's a difference. So again, here we go. This is a brand new model run coming in here for you. Here's a difference between the two model runs we just looked at. This is the same model, okay? It has the rain coming in from 3 to 6, and then look, rain showers behind it. But look, that's too close. That's too close. It's going to try and get severe, right? But here's the actual main line here. See how it's much less aggressive. So if I click this same time, so here's the final line coming through 7 to 9 p.m. Same on that. But if you go back and look at the older run that we just looked at, see how it's much more aggressive. A lot more purple, a little bit more rotation in there, a little bit of some heavier thunderstorms really going through. So again, that timing is going to be everything. So if I go back and look at it, that back storm line or that second storm line, it was in Somerset at 3 p.m. So keep that in mind. On this older model run, it was in Somerset at 3 p.m. If I go to the newer run, it's all the way back in Elizabethtown and Lexington at 3 to 4 p.m. Actually, in Louisville at 3 p.m. So that is a shift of probably 150, 200 miles almost, right? So you're talking about a shift of a few hours there. So now on the newer model run, it's trying to show these storm lines too close together. This is not going to be able to get that severe. Let me click on this and just see. Yeah, it looks a lot different. There's no cape with it because it's too close together. This storm line wrecked it down, and there's not enough time for it to come out and try to destabilize and support strong to severe weather. So again, basically what all that mumbo jumbo just meant that I just went through there. If the storm lines are too close together, we're not going to be talking about too much tomorrow. If the storm lines have some gaps in between them from 5 to 9 p.m., that's the window for severe weather. And again, I think the greatest threat's going to be in northwestern, north central Kentucky, where I kind of have the blue and red lines here. But here is that tornado threat once again from the SPC. You can kind of see it there. Again, in my opinion, the greatest threat's going to be let's use red, right? I think the greatest threat's easily going to be right here, right? And then let's use we can't use green. Let's use blue, and then you kind of have this area, right, where storms kind of keep proceeding on through. And then I think this area is the least out of the risk zone. I think this area is the least likely to see severe weather. Now you can still get a couple of warnings for some damaging winds, but as far as the bulk of severe weather, I think you got. Let's use. Is there black on here? Yes, there is. This is priority number 1 in my opinion. This is priority number 2, and this is priority number 3. Just based off of what I'm seeing there. Now I will say, let's use even a different color here. If we can get storms to fire at the perfect time out here in Western Kentucky, this has the highest potential for tornadoes to occur. So let's use like a little tornado. That's supposed to be my tornado symbol. But that's where I think if we can get storms to fire at the perfect time in their own space, that's where the ingredients are best set up. But that's a huge if. That's a huge if. A lot of the model data does not have storms forming there. It only has like 1. All right. So that's a big if out there in Western Kentucky. If you can get a storm or 2 to form out there in Western Kentucky between 5 to 9 p.m., that is where the best ingredients actually are. The red zone is priority number 1 to me because that is where models are showing storms can actually form, and they do have some ingredients to actually produce strong to severe weather. In that blue zone, aka number 2 there, that to me is where storms will continue to proceed into Kentucky, but should be approaching that 8 to 10 p.m. time frame. So storms should begin to dwindle down in that area. And then by the time it gets to that 3 zone, I'm really not sure why you're included in the severe risk because you're not going to get the storms until like 10 p.m. to like midnight tomorrow. So again, I think by that time, storms will be loud, they'll be hectic, but they're not going to be really anything concerning in my opinion. Overall, guys, I don't think this is a massive event here. It is lacking some ingredients, but it does have probably the best potential that we've seen over the last couple of months. Remember, we've had 2 or 3 storm events. They've all kind of just been major rain events with some thunder involved with it because they've been lacking cape or fuel for the storms. This one has a little bit of cape and fuel for the storms, but not a whole lot. So I don't expect this to be a major event. I think we'll probably see 5 to 7 severe warnings tomorrow, mainly for damaging winds and small hail. We could see a tornado warning or 2 simply because there is some what we call streamwise vorticity at the very near the surface. So storms may be spinning a little bit more tomorrow. Could produce a tornado warning or 2. If it does happen, probably going to be in the red zone there. Again, priority number 1. And of course, I will make a map and graphic to kind of explain this a little bit more for you. Probably be posted in the morning tomorrow after some more of the data comes in. But for right now, that's kind of where my general feelings are as to where I think is the greatest area of concern versus the least area of concern. What about the counties out of the severe risk? Obviously, not really expecting a real severe risk for you, Freeman. You could see some strong storms. Again, I want to remind you guys there will be storms outside of the time frame of 5 to 9 p.m. But the 5 to 9 p.m. time frame, by the way, Eastern time, is where the peak window is for severe weather. Once we get past 9 p.m., you lose the sunshine, you lose the heat. Storms are going to die down. Once you get before that time frame of 5 p.m., that's when that other wave of storms comes through, and you're going to be too close together for it to really be able to achieve anything. So 5 to 9 p.m., if storms can get there and that second wave gets out of the way, you're talking about potential for severe weather. Again, I don't really expect it there, Freeman, in my opinion. Again, if you're not really in the risk zone here, and pretty much everyone should know where they're at on this map because I have a lot of cities pulled up here. Again, I don't really see a whole lot for you. Cave City's in that green zone, so yes, you do need to pay attention to the forecast tomorrow. Low wind, severe risk there. You're getting kind of in that priority 2 zone there. Hope you feel better, but thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Angel. I appreciate that. Thank you for all your do. I hope you and your family feel better soon. Me too, Macy. This is Samuel's first real time being like this sick. He's had a stomach bug before for like a 24-hour stomach bug, which was pretty hectic. But man, this weekend he was putting a number. I was out of town helping a friend with his business. And then Brandon's just calling me. Brandon's not feeling good at all. Samuel's not feeling good at all. Luckily, Maylin got her vaccines, but she did not get the COVID vaccine. I can't remember why, but she got the RSV and the flu one. So hopefully there's something in there to help with that. And ironically, Samuel was supposed to get his vaccines today, but of course, since he's sick and was running 100.6 degree fever, you can't get vaccines while you're doing that. So unfortunately, we had all of our vaccines lined up literally for this week. So it's kind of ironic that this weekend is when we got sick. Bowling Green is in the risk zone, but again, to me, in my opinion, it's on the lower end, like very, very lower end. Yeah, thank you, Mandy. We haven't had COVID in a while, and last time we had it, it wasn't too bad. But this time, yeah, it's like, for example, and I felt bad because it meant Brianna had to be up with the baby. But I did do my part eventually. But I slept from 8:30 p.m. last night to about, I think, what was it, 9 a.m. this morning, almost straight there. So, and then I had to go take a nap. I went to do some more posts this afternoon, but I literally could not move out of the bed. Dude. I honestly don't feel a whole lot of anything. My throat's a little itchy, but I just have no energy at all. A cold core type setup with this? No, because there is kind of a warm nose right there at the end. If you kind of look at the model here, progression, there is, see how you kind of have that warm nose right there. You're talking about, so here, this is kind of crazy for tomorrow too, by the way. Bowling Green at 1 p.m. tomorrow is going to be 71 degrees, while Lexington is going to be at 46 degrees. So the forecast graphic that I have coming out tonight for you has ranges on the temperature zone because, I mean, what do you expect me to do here? Someone's going to get an inaccurate temperature because you got a 30-degree spell here, if you will. Because if you go up here towards Cincinnati, 43, and then 71, 72 down here. So you're talking about almost a 30-degree spread on temperatures within the same state on the same day. So it's very difficult. But yeah, I don't really see a cold core setup with this because it does have surface-based fuel with it. It does have mid-level fuel with it. So I don't really see a cold core setup with this. What are the dew points looking like? I can't even remember. Because see how dry our dew points are right now. It's very dry outside. So if you feel some scratchiness or if you're feeling some itchiness, it's because it's been very dry outside and it's been windy. But if you look at tomorrow, look at how fast that dew point comes in and rises up. So you're talking about dew points in the mid 60s. So I don't really see a cold core setup with this. No. Yeah, I don't really see any threat at all for Eastern Kentucky. Last time I had COVID, I felt better on day 3, but I slept the first day and had to force myself to walk. I was out of breath a lot. Yeah, I'm running out of breath quite a bit just sitting here talking to you guys. If we get tornado warnings, will they be EF2 or below? I mean, that's an impossible question to answer, really, Haley. But I don't think we're looking at any real significant tornadoes tomorrow because, again, we're lacking some of the upper echelon of fuel for the storms. I don't know if December will have a bad storm coming, but I do think we're talking about quite the boundary fighters. Because again, if you kind of zoom back out here, kind of show you the European model once again, the European AI model, I should say. Go back here to the end. You'll see how we have a sharp above average temperature in Kentucky. We might be warm to start off December. So everyone talking about this cold December start, I think they're losing their mind or just not looking at something. Because you're talking about the first couple of days in December being 63 degrees as a high. Now, there will be a bit of a cold spell like around Thanksgiving toward like December 1st. But once we get in actually into December, I think we actually warm up quite a bit, which makes sense when you're talking about a La Nina type of season, a weak La Nina type of season. But if you look here, you have the warmer than average here. That's why it says 11 degrees warmer than average. And then you have negative 15 degrees below average. And right in between, you have that boundary there. So storms will ride the boundary. So if I pull up my pin here and kind of show you, right there. So if I pull up my pin here and kind of just show you if I can get it to work, where is it? Okay, here we go. Why is it a line? Goodness gracious. I can't ever get this to work correctly, like how I want it to work. So you have storm. Why is that so thin? Oh my, I'm about to lose my mind. It's still thin. What in the world? I know I can make that bigger. I'm just not really sure how, honestly. Let's use black to maybe. Oh, here we go. Right? Yeah, yeah, we got it now. So anyway, storms will ride this boundary here. They will not go into the actual zones. They'll actually just try to ride this boundary, and usually to the east of a low pressure. Right? So let's say that is a low pressure right there. Let's say that low pressure continues to come through and come through and come through, and to the east of those low pressures, that's where you get strong to severe storms. Now, on the back side of that, the southwestern side, that's where you actually get snow. So this would be snow. This would be severe, right? If you get a low pressure system to develop. So again, right now we're just looking at temperatures. We're not actually looking at severe, potential. But again, it's too far out to really determine that. But again, the temperature zones there, the boundaries, if you will, are what makes me kind of raise my eyebrows a little bit. That's again for December. Go back toward here. I want to see something real quickly. Yeah, even on this run, remember, oh, that's not what I'm looking at for there. Here we go. So again, if you look at this run here and we kind of click on that and compare it to the last run that we looked at, here's the last run we looked at. See how it looks a little bit more aggressive on the rotation tracks? Look at the new run. A little bit shifted to the north and a little bit weaker on the rotation track. So I think there's going to be a lot of bouncing back and forth on the models here. So that's what I'm saying. Kind of wait until tomorrow morning. We'll have a really good idea on where exactly it should set up. But I think either way, it's going to be toward north central and northwestern Kentucky. Severe cold weather with a lot of snow. What? I've never heard severe and cold weather in the same sentence before. Hey, Lexi. Yeah, I'm going to. I've slept a lot today, but it really feels like I have slept none at all. We just replaced our roof 2 weeks ago, and siding is on the way from spring storms. We thought the storm should be basically over until spring. No, there's always a fall severe season, and sometimes even a winter severe season, depending upon how things set up. Was busy, but I do want to ask how severe of a risk would the Madisonville area would have with the current radar. Again, really close to that priority one zone for me. I think all modes are on the table, but it's all going to be dependent on when that first wave moves out of the way. So it's really up in the air right now. But I think a solid 1 out of 5 risk for everyone. And then by tomorrow morning, when we see exactly when that second wave gets out of the way, there may be some areas updated to a 2 out of 5 risk. Do you see a white Christmas this year? Braden asked. You'll have to wait till my winter forecast video. But I will say, I think it's probably our best chance in a while, just because of the cold and the moisture kind of lining up together. Of course, I have no idea if it's actually going to do that or not. What do the circles mean? Again, if you see the different zones there, 1, 2, 3. 1 is red, 2 is blue, 3 is teal. Again, those are the areas of priority to me. So priority number 1 would be the northwestern side of the state. Priority number 2 would be the central and western portion of the state. Priority number 3, aka the lowest on the scale there, would be the south central portion of the state. So priority number 1 to me has not a guarantee, but the best chance to see severe warnings tomorrow. Number 2 there has some chance to see a few severe warnings tomorrow, but storms will be weakening in that area. And then zone number 3 there to me, I don't think really needs to be involved in the severe risk for tomorrow, because by the time storms get down there, you're talking about 10 to 11 p.m. ish Eastern time. Storms should be in a much weaker state by then. In that purple zone there that I have is actually where the best ingredients are to support tornadoes to occur. But models don't really have storms actually forming there. So I have the purple zone saying, hey, if storms form, that is where the best ingredients are. So you would immediately jump into priority number 1 at that point. But right now, storms models don't really have storms forming there very much. Yeah, Billy says I saw on Facebook where late November and early December could be like it was in 1968. But I told my husband I was going to wait to hear what you had to say before I believe anything. Dude, I've had to actually mute the word snow and winter off of my social media because it is insane. Some of the posts that I am seeing, like this Snowbird Bob on Facebook, has got to be the most ridiculous account I think I've seen in a long time. Constantly posting 2-month long snow maps that are always changing. They're never the same. It's it it it, it irritates me, but you're always going to have those types of people. It's on you all to kind of figure out who's actually trying to get your attention, or who's actually looking out for you. Landon, I appreciate that, my friend. When are you putting out Snowcast? The scheduled date was actually Wednesday, but with the severe weather tomorrow potentially, and with the fact that I just have no energy, it's probably going to be closer to Friday if we can have the weather kind of calm down. What about Eastern Kentucky? Not included in any risk at all. Don't really see anything to really be concerned with at all in Eastern Kentucky. All right. I think that's going to do it for us there. Because I see some of the questions. There's one more here. Is that purple zone going to stay south of? Again, this is kind of just based on my thoughts right now. These can move everywhere, I suppose. Really, these are just based off of my thoughts at the moment. L. Goodman with the $5 donation on YouTube says lemon character and baby lemon blowing a party horn while marching. Oh, I guess that's emojis that she put out. Thank you for your $5 donation. I appreciate that. I got you, Jacob. Macy, I appreciate that. It's just crazy to me because there's people. I don't know. Look, I'm going to put it out there. Mark Weinberg has been crying about the social media forecasters being the hype artists. There are so many people on the TV doing it, and that are actually like playing the social media game. And that's where a lot of it's coming from. It's actual like certified meteorologists putting out a lot of this crap. And I'm just like, wasn't that quite ironic, right? But at the same time, like it's kind of, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's kind of on you guys to figure out who's trying to get your attention and who's actually looking out for you, right? So that's always been my take on it. 90+% of people are smart enough to figure that out over time. But that's kind of where we are in this day and age. There needs to be some sort of filtering on it, but I really don't know what you can do. The internet's kind of its own monster there. So it's kind of just on you guys to figure out who's looking out for you and who's not. So that's my take on it. That's my take on it. Canessa, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ashlyn says, I hope you and your family get better soon. I hope y'all's daughter don't get sick. I hope so too, man. I hope so too. I really, really do, because I don't want to deal with that. Because for little babies like that, anything can turn into RSV. Thankfully, she's had her RSV shot, but you guys know the vaccines are never perfect. I'm not going to get in all that because there's a lot of conspiracy and politics in that, but they're never perfect. But we do get them for our children, so and for us as well. Like I said, unfortunately, our vaccines for all of us were actually scheduled this week, and of course, Samuel's was actually today. But of course, they don't give you a vaccine if you're feeling symptoms or if you have a fever. So it's just really unlucky that we had everything set up this week to be taken care of for the winter time. But and then we go and get sick this past weekend. So it's kind of how it goes, though, ain't it? Kevin says you and yours get plenty of rest, drink plenty of fluids. Thank you very much. I'm hoping tomorrow's not a big deal because I really just want to lay in bed. But you guys know if anything happens, we do got y'all's. We do have y'all's back, right? Anyway, I'm George Herbert, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now Kentucky. I'm going to wrap up this broadcast. If you are just now hopping in here, you can watch this video on playback later on Facebook and YouTube when it actually publishes. Until then, stay safe, guys. We got y'all's back. We'll see you guys tomorrow.